from Fox News and louder with Crowder. Headline, BigBallz leads infuriating DOGE roundtable about uncovered fraud, including a heavily armed Institute for Peace. According to the piece, it's been quiet. The media has been focusing more on simping for MS-13 gang members than spreading misinformation about the work cousin Elon and his DOGE crew were doing. But waste, fraud, and or abuse are still being uncovered. The team sat down for a roundtable on Fox News to explain point by point about what they've been doing and what they've been finding. They need to be doing this more because when they do, it's informative while also making you stabby. I don't know about stabby, but yeah, I understand the sentiment. Apropos of nothing, you got to appreciate cousin Elon's commitment to the bit. He did wear two hats apparently to commit to the joke. Here, let's watch that. Oh, it's got to come up on here.
Thank you very much. I love the double hat, but he's the only one that can get away with it.
Well, Mr. President, they say I wear a lot of hats. Even my hat has a hat.
Good. All right. So continuing on, two things. This is according to Louder with Crowder. Two things caught his attention. The first was the television debut of BigBallz, who is working on payment processing. Keeping in mind, the Democrat Party wants credit card companies to code any firearms purchases that you make so they can track how you spend your money. However, when it comes to tracking how they spend our money, let's take a look.
Who's BigBallz?
It's big.
That should be obvious.
Why do they call you BigBallz?
I just said it as my LinkedIn username. Well, people on LinkedIn take themselves super seriously, and they're pretty adverse to risk. And I was like, well, I want to be neither of those things. So I said it, and honestly, I didn't even think anyone would notice.
Nice.
So what do you
LinkedIn
do?
is so cringe.
What does BigBallz do?
Right now, I'm working on some payment computer stuff. So one of our initiatives is to root out fraud and waste. And to do that, we started looking at the payment computers. And as mentioned earlier, there is no accounting of what payments actually go to in the payment computer. So you look at a specific line item, $20 million. You're like, okay.
Let me know how that sounds if we got any volume issues in the chat, if you would.
What is this money going to? And for the majority of payment systems, it's like, we don't really know. And
Yeah, like that would be the response.
Is this the most basic responses?
Yeah, that's the most common response.
What do you say when people just say, I don't know?
well, it's a huge cause for concern because like the upstream thing, which is distributing the money, literally has no checks, no accountability to the actual American taxpayer. So it's a huge vector for fraud, waste, and abuse.
Do these people not respect taxpayer money?
I have no incentive to if you work in the government. I think the incentives will always decide the outcomes.
Yes.
Do you guys feel like you're putting yourself at risk by doing this?
All right. That's BigBallz on DOGE there. All right, continuing on, then you had what was most alarming to the DOGE team. When America was first formed, there were only 4 agencies. Now there are over 400. One of them is called the Institute for Peace, where they have a massive arsenal and give money to the Taliban. According to DOGE, I think the most troubling thing was that they received $55 million a year from Congress, and any money that went unspent, instead of returning that to Congress, they would sweep it into a private bank account, which had no congressional oversight. And that's what they would use to fund things like events at their headquarters and private jets. And so I think it's a great example because most Americans don't know what's going on at a lot of these agencies. Wow. All right, let's check out this additional clip here on X.
A small agency called the United States Institute of Peace. It's definitely the agency we had the most fight at. We actually went into the agency and found that they had loaded guns inside of their headquarters. Institute for Peace.
I mean, any given organizational name is going to be kind of be the title.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so by far the least peaceful agency that we've worked with, ironically. Additionally, they were spending money on things like private jets, and they even had a $130,000 contract with a former member of the Taliban. This is real. We don't encounter that at most agencies.
Yeah.
What was the money going to the Taliban for?
So it was a contractor. They received $130,000 for generic services. And to Elon's point, there was not actually a clear description of what the contractor services were for. But
Was it for opium?
Unclear.
Or weapons?
Or nothing.
Or not.
Bribe?
Or yeah, nothing.
And you actually have to ask the question, well, how did we get here? Like when the country was founded, there were only 4 agencies. Today there are over 400. So there's been a 100x increase in the number of agencies since the founding of the nation. And thanks to President Trump, he's now signed 2 executive orders to start to reduce the number of agencies in the government, and the Institute of Peace was one of them, which is why our team went in to try and understand what was going on. And that's when we found all of the craziness, like the weapons in their armory. We found the payments to the Taliban.
Okay. Trying to hide the evidence.
Right, so just a few hours after we got into their headquarters, we found that their chief accountant had actually deleted over 1 terabyte of accounting records from several years. So you'd have to ask the question, well, why would somebody do that? The DOGE team, fortunately, was able to recover that data with the help of a few great employees at the Institute of Peace. And I think the most troubling thing was they received $55 million a year from Congress, and any money that went unspent, instead of returning that to Congress, they would sweep it into a private bank account, which had no congressional oversight. And that's what they would use to fund things like events at their headquarters and the private jets. And so I think it's a great example because most Americans don't know what's going on at a lot of these smaller agencies. And this is, I think, the most extreme case of some of the wasteful spend that we're finding.
So the agencies are hiding money from you. They're sending it to the Taliban. They have loaded weapons in the department buildings.
At the Institute of Peace.
Yes.
That's right.
So this is a cover-up when you guys roll in.
This one, yes, a cover-up. Yeah.
It's a cover-up.
They did delete a vast amount of financial information. That's really a definition of a cover-up.
Isn't that illegal to delete evidence?
Yes.
Shred documents?
It is. It's certainly illegal to delete accounting records that that Congress would certainly want to know where the congressionally appropriated funds are going from taxpayers.
When you catch them going Hillary style on their computers, do you refer this to the Department of Justice?
In this case, we did refer the evidence in the accounting example to the FBI and DOJ, and we were proud to do that. So yes, we did.
Resistance has.
Right. So, quote, it was by far the least peaceful agency we've ever dealt with. Fascinating. All right, so the Institute for Peace out there giving weapons to the Taliban, apparently, going on. We underestimate how much of a game changer DOGE's work is and can be if messaged right to the American people. When they are given the chance to explain what they are finding, it's paradigm shifting. All right, absolutely stunning, this information. I think it's more of the same, unfortunately, which is messaging. You know, it's still doing all of these constant press briefings and trying to get that message out there.